Welcome back to a new video. Today's review is on Only Murders in the Building, Season 4, Episode 9, entitled Escape from Planet Klongo, with the official synopsis being: seeking a critical clue, Charles, Oliver, and Mabel must infiltrate a film set to get the real background on why Saz was killed. And before I give out my review, please like, subscribe, comment, follow all of my socials, which are down in the description for more reviews. We are officially one more episode away before season 4 is officially over. This season has been a pretty crazy ride in my opinion, with still more questions to be answered. Will they be answered? Only time will tell. As this episode goes back and forth in between different timelines, with Project Ronkonkoma 2 years ago with Saz and her protege, and just the present with just the trio still doing their best to figure out more clues about who killed Saz and why. I'm going to start with the present, as the trio tries to visit Glen at the hospital, who is still recovering from his traumatic near t-shirt making experience at the photo shoot. And Glen, unsurprisingly and justifiably so, is traumatized. I think he is still in a coma, like almost dying, getting shot in the head. Like, that is just some bizarre mess. But in the last episode, I did have a strong feeling that Glen was possibly the final red herring of the season, when they talked about how Saz's protege was so bad, he was harassing her, that he was going to be the quote-unquote death of her. I just didn't think that it was Glen, though he did match the description, and with what happens, he was not the man responsible. And I just had that feeling as well too, that something bad was going to happen to Glen while he was at the hospital. But with the new information that was presented by the bartender, the trio tries to find the director Ron Howard, and yes, the real Ron Howard from Happy Days and many of the movies that he has directed. Mabel decides to go towards Bev to get information, as according to Bev, the movie is still not going as well with some of its things. Marshall's rewrites continue to be disappointing. The actors are not responding or are busy with just other things. And I just still have that small feeling that after everything has been revealed, the movie is not going to be made because of all of the shenanigans that has taken place, from the infamous photo shoot where 2 people nearly died, to the trio's lives just being at danger because of a murderer and whoever else is stalking them. Like, I'm just not going to be surprised if the people in charge is like, you know what, axe the movie, it's just too much. Oliver in this episode, he wasn't bad at all, as I still can't believe that the wedding is going to take place at the Arconia, because in my opinion, I just think that something bad is going to happen at this wedding. Like, nothing good ever happens at the Arconia, with its numerous murders, the West Tower and their skeletons in the closet. I just think that something bad is going to happen at the wedding. And I did say for the longest that the next season's victim was going to be revealed at the wedding, but now I don't think that's going to be possible. And I'm going to explain that just in a little bit. The trio finds out where Ron Howard is possibly at with his next movie, and this next movie does look a little bit crazy, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Unsurprisingly, they still come in as background actors, and the roles that they had in here was just pretty bizarre, except for Mabel. Charles and Oliver as the monsters, and Mabel as just whatever role that she was in. You can say, yeah, it wasn't that crazy. But unsurprisingly though, Mabel does get the information about Glen being alive, and sadly the information that such and such put him on a T. And just as mentioned, I am now thinking that the next season's victim might have just been revealed. Like Nicky the Caccimelio, the dry cleaning king of Brooklyn. The fact that they closely zoomed in on that news segment is a little bit suspicious, and I think is a possible clue for season 5. Like, who is Nicky the Caccimelio? As apparently he is a part of a huge crime family, and I'm now wondering, is this going to tie into the possible unresolved answers from season 1, or is Nicky the Caccimelio the next victim in season 5 that the trio investigate? And if he is the next victim, I'm just going to find that a little bit interesting. I think it might take this show on a whole new level, because you're now trying to investigate someone that is a part of a crime family, a part of the mob. I just think that the dangers they could possibly face if he's the next victim is going to be anything they've never seen before. Anything is possible, but who knows who's the next victim in season 5. But I just found that news segment of him being missing to be a little bit interesting and also suspicious. But at this film shoot, Oliver and Charles did have problems together while they were filming. Oliver with his weird antics, just going over the top with the simple filming segment, and Charles just going a little bit crazy and just snapping at Oliver, saying that he's this and that. And I can understand where Charles is coming from when it comes with his feelings, with how everybody is doing something different, and how once Oliver gets married, Charles feels as if like he is going to be just the third wheel in the entire group, and Oliver's relationship, friendship, with him now being married to Loretta, Charles feeling as if like him and Oliver won't hang out as much or just like be there for each other as often anymore. I can understand Charles's feelings, and I can see where Charles was coming from after having many people in his life just come and go. Like, Oliver is probably one of the closest people in his life alongside Mabel. That's just life. But after that debacle, Oliver and Charles just visiting a specific restaurant that Oliver mentions in the beginning of the episode, Ron Howard actually does appear, and I was pretty surprised. And I was pretty surprised to find out that apparently him and Martin Short are real good friends in real life too. So Oliver wasn't lying after all. He was actually honest about his stories. But yeah, Ron Howard in this episode, he was not bad at all. The segments between him, Oliver, and Charles were all interesting. They were all pretty good. I have no complaints about it. But we also do find out more about this infamous photo shoot, Project Ronkonkoma, that Saz was in 2 years ago with her protege. As Saz, she was just teaching her protege all of the tips and bits about what it is to be a stuntman, what you have to do, how to avoid getting injured and not facing death. And at the film shoot, everything went well like it was supposed to at first. Like, the stuntman was doing what he was doing. He got the job done, but he made one critical error. He was not completely fire free. Like, he was not free. And unfortunately, what happened at the photo shoot was that he was reignited and all hell broke loose. And long story short, it just ruined Project Ronkonkoma and also Ron Howard's eyebrows as well too. Terrible. But that is why this person, Saz's protege, was so bad at the photo shoot, and why he was blackballed from the industry. And when you think of it, it's understandable. Like, he could have killed himself. He could have killed everybody at this photo shoot, at this film. Why do I keep saying photo shoot? But at this film shoot. But yeah. But throughout the episode just teases who was Saz's protege. And the reveal is not surprising if you've really been thinking about it, as this person is Marshall, or Rex Bailey, quote unquote. But yeah, that is how the episode basically ends, with just Marshall being at Mabel's place trying to rewrite the script once again, and Mabel for some reason finding the original script that Saz wrote. And it just cuts before we find out what happens next. But as mentioned, this episode was not bad at all. I did find the guesses to be interesting. Ron Howard, he does a good job with his special appearance, and him and Oliver just going back about different things was pretty wholesome and interesting. I am not surprised that Glen died at the hospital. You can just tell that something was going to happen because of his near-death experience, and also just what he knew about who was responsible when it came towards his death, when it came towards this film shoot. You can just tell that something was going to happen to him. But since we are here, Marshall, in my opinion, is the man responsible for Saz's death. And I think he had more than one accomplice to help him with the death scene. Like, I just find it near impossible for him to shoot Saz, go back to the Arconia, to Charles's place, clean up, and then place Saz at the incinerator, and all in under 20 minutes. Is just near impossible. He had to have had more than one person to help him. I think Bev is likely a possible candidate, because throughout the season her behavior has been weird, and she always talks about how this movie can be the life and death of her career as a producer if this movie were to not be made. So maybe she didn't know that Saz did write the original script, and that is what Saz was trying to tell her, that Marshall is stealing her stuff. And in order to shut Saz up and to keep the movie going, she and Marshall and possibly someone else teamed up to take out Saz. As far as season 5's victim, I did think that the next victim was going to happen at Oliver and Loretta's wedding, but now I don't think so. I think there is a possibility that Nicky, the Nick Caccimelio, is season 5's victim. And if that's the case, I can't wait to see the trio just entering into the whole mob world, their interactions with crime families, and their dangers just being amplified to 10 times. But only time will tell. One more episode before the final episode of season 4 is here, so who knows what will happen next. But until next time, see you next week.